Om Trivivibhyo Namaha. Can spiritual progress be achieved through some very simple means in life? That's a question that I want to explore with you today and also share my own learnings from my gurus. But before I go there, here is a question for you for reflection. Where are you stuck in your spiritual progress or the lack of it? And as you stay with me through the video, I will unravel different parts of this answer and stitch together for you at the end. And also leave what you took away from this video in the comment section so that I know what worked for you. Now, in today's world, there are various stories of spiritual progress from one section of population, and there is another section of population which thinks that spirituality and spiritual progress is some sort of a husha. And in between these two sections of population, there are very few, very rare people who really actually understand what is a spiritual life. But for most others, when you bring up the term spirituality, and this is the section which is into spirituality, it's either some form of meditation or some process that they're following, some sense of healing, etc., which may be decent methods to experiment with, but really they may not be the real essence of what Vedic tradition prescribes or showed as a part of what spiritual path and spiritual progress is all about. Now, this is where in my own life I have been blessed with gurus and I have learned much from them. And here are two lessons that I shared. The first is from my Ishta Guru, and that's Shirdi Sai Baba. If you ever were to read the Sai Charitramanas, or if you were to listen to some of the teachings of Shirdi Sai Baba, Baba says something very interesting about how a human being's nature, behavior, and conduct should be. And he gives us three wonderful words to look at. Baba says every human being should operate with Shraddha. And when it comes to Shraddha, definitely the transliteration is about faith. But the word Shraddha goes much deep. It's also about love and reverence towards your Ishta, whoever is your God, whoever is that power that you worship. And this is not about a religious figure, but whoever you think is your God, is your anchor in nature. To have Shraddha means to carry a lot of faith, a lot of love, a lot of reverence, that power will lead you on your path of life. So it's not your ego that you're operating with, but you know that your charioteer is your God. Baba also leaves the word Saburi, and loosely translated it would be patience, but it's also about perseverance and persistence on things in life. And when Baba says have Saburi, which means show up in life, do what you need to do what you're supposed to do. Even if there is pain, even if there is deterrence in life, show up and do what you're supposed to do. And he then says that as you do Shraddha and Saburi, you need to have Samarpan, which is an essence of dedication, devotion, surrenderance to that higher force, and knowing that it's your job to do what you're supposed to do. As Krishna described to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, that karmanyavadikaraste, that it's only in the karma that you have your right. It's not the phala, which is the outcomes of that. Leave the outcomes to Lord. So what I picked up from my Ishta Guru, Shirdi Sai Baba, in Shraddha, Saburi and Samarpan was that keeping your faith, love and reverence in the divine, submit yourself, show up, show the perseverance, the persistence to do what you're supposed to do, and then just surrender whatever you have done at the feet of Lord and let whatever results are supposed to come to you to come. This kind of a life is a very beautiful life, because when you bring Shraddha, Saburi, Samarpan together, what you have learned is the beautiful lesson of Bhakti Yoga. And in our own Vedic tradition, Bhakti Yoga is about that deep love, reverence, that you carry towards your Lord, that your Lord is leading your life, whether you believe in Hindu gods or Christian gods or whichever path you follow. It's an important lesson that you need to carry, that it's the Lord who's leading you there. So whoever you worship, like I'm an ardent devotee of the Three Shaktis, of Shiva, of Krishna, I believe that they lead my life. I believe my Ishta Guru, Sai Baba, leads my life. I believe that my Pratyaksha Guru, who I will introduce you in a little while, he leads my life, right? And that Bhakti Yoga is what gives us some very important grounding in life. It gives us the ability to live life with complete clarity, with complete egolessness, willingly, and go deeply in life. And that itself is spiritual progress. So the first lesson of spiritual progress for you: look at Shraddha, Saburi, Samarpan in your life. Do what you're supposed to do with this sense, this bhava, so that you progress. The other simple lesson that I learned was from my Pratyaksha Guru, my Guru in physical form, Sadguru Yogiraj, Dr. Mangeshda, who is a Kriya Yogi himself. And I have been with him for a little over 15 years now, and I have learned everything from the deep path of Kriya Yoga to so many other methodologies in terms of life and living. But Sadhguruji says something wonderful, and he says that even before you get onto the path of spiritual progress, trying to understand what is that divine, trying to understand your body, your chakras, your nadis, and as the Kriya progresses, as you get into the Hatha Yoga element, as you get into pranayamas, as you get into the elements of the Jnana Yoga, etc., the Mantra Yoga, it is very important before you go into all of these things that you prepare yourself by doing Karma Yoga. And what does Karma Yoga here means? Karma Yoga here means that realizing that whatever are the roles that you have in your life, in those roles you perform all your duties completely. Roles are two that we have. One is the roles that we naturally have in life, that we are born to certain parents, we are born in a certain society, etc. And then there are roles that we take on in life, like the spouse that we have, the job that we take, the child that we bring into this world. Those are the roles that we acquire in life. So the roles that are given to us and the roles that we acquire in life, in all of these, it's very important to bring what our Shastras would say ekagrita, which is complete undivided attention, it's undivided focus, it's stillness. And to also bring ekrupta, which is complete oneness with whatever you're doing, that the task becomes you. In modern life, where you're going to a workplace, are you really owning up the results, the work, the organization? Are you putting everything into it? If you have a friendship, are you giving your very best to that friendship? If you are in a marriage, or if you are taking care of your parents, or if you're bringing up your child, are you making that a priority for you and dividing your time and resources equally? That's what would be doing Karma Yoga with complete ekagrita and complete ekrupta. When you do this, you allow yourselves to exhaust your karmas, because our Vedic traditions help us understand that every role that we have in life, every relationship, every connection that we have in life, with places, with people, with organizations, with relationships that we have, these are all things which will help us exhaust our karmas. That itself is deep spiritual progress. So from both my gurus, from my Ishta Guru, the lessons of Bhakti Yoga, which is Shraddha, Saburi, Samarpan, and from my Pratyaksha Guru, which is Sadguru Yogiraj, Dr. Mangeshda, the lesson of Karma Yoga, when I bring both of these things together, that gives me such a beautiful foundation of what really spirituality is. Something that I have experienced over several years now of my own spiritual progress. And I'll invite you to understand this and work with this. These are very simple things to do. We don't even have to chase things. Now, another thing for you to understand is that in our Vedic tradition, Spirituality was not a subject which was dealt separately. And there is really no reference there of a spiritual pursuit separately. Why? Because in our tradition, everything was built into the purusharthas. We were supposed to come to this world, and through whatever we did, through our brahmacharya phase, through our grihasthashram phase, or a vanaprastha phase, or the sannyasa phase, we were supposed to do our purusharthas, which was Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We were supposed to pursue the duties that we had in life, which is the Dharma, in the pursuit of the Artha, which is of all wealth creation, so that we could fulfill our Kama, which is all material desires. And through the working of that, we were supposed to ultimately get to Moksha, which is liberation, by knowing and understanding the difference between what is permanent and impermanent, and to understand the real concept of what is God and universe and universal consciousness. We were supposed to get through to Moksha in life. It's only in the modern world, where we have completely absorbed ourselves into the material life, that we are now having to have a separate reminder, a separate effort made to get to being the spiritual person that we were supposed to be in the first place. So that's the big difference between how the current life is and how our Vedic traditions really talked about the human consciousness and human development. So my invitation to you, work through all your dharmas, work through, while you have your pursuit of Artha and Kama, work through to get to Moksha, get the understanding of life. But like I said, the simplest way to do that is to absorb yourself in Bhakti Yoga through Shraddha, Saburi, Samarpan, and to do your Karma Yoga, which is deliver all your duties in every single role that you play in life. And I'm sure you will make significant progress. So I'm telling you to do nothing else, no rituals, just accept your life. That's the first step to great spiritual progress. In fact, there are people who do just that and who are spiritually far better evolved than people who are getting into hundreds of these spiritual processes that are being sold today in the name of spirituality. I started the video with a question: where is your spiritual progress stuck? And a very simple answer to that is partial knowledge or incorrect knowledge of what really is our Vedic tradition of spirituality and what does this mean. You will get wonderful understanding of that if you were to take out some time and read and understand a little bit of Bhagavad Gita, a little bit of Upanishads, a little bit of the Vedas, a little bit of things like the Brahma Sutras, etc. And there are enough and more credible translations available today. Also, pursuits of things like Ashtanga Yoga, as popularized by Patanjali, or Kriya Yoga, or Sahaj Yoga. There are several of these paths which are available, but most genuine pieces of literature that you will be finding will be in the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Vedas, the Brahma Sutras, etc. And then things like Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, even some Ayurvedic texts. Jyotish, the Indian Vedic Jyotish, it can help you understand deeply about the spiritual aspects of life. So gain some knowledge so that you progress on your spiritual path. Wish you the very best in the pursuit of spirituality. Spiritual growth is much easier than it is made out to be in today's times. Do this and you will find significant joy, peace, and progress through the path of Karma Yoga, through the path of Bhakti Yoga. Make your life your worship. Make your life a surrenderance to God, and you will